Yes, thank you. So now I'm going to share the screen. Just confirm me once after this. Now the presentation slide is visible to everyone, right?
Yes, sir.
In the previous class, we discussed regarding the manufacturing process of cement, that is by using wet process and dry process. Okay. So in this class, we'll discuss with the chemical compositions of cement. So basically, cement is made up of various raw materials such as limestone, clay, iron oxide, etc., etc. So once the manufacturing process has been done, some of the chemicals have been formed within that particular cement structures. So now we are going to study about those chemical compositions which are present in cement sample. So here the raw materials which are used for the manufacture of cement, that consist of mainly this lime, silica, alumina, and 1 minute. Okay. So basically, these raw materials which are used for the manufacturing of cement, that consist of lime, silica, alumina, and then iron oxide. So these are the major raw materials which are used in the manufacturing process of this cement. And as you know that this lime is nothing but this is calcareous materials which are purely rich in calcium. So this lime, that chemical formation, that's with the CaO, that is calcium oxide. So basically this is the main chemical compositions which are present in this cement, and then silica, alumina, and then iron oxides with respect to the standard proportions as per the Indian standards. It should be present in the cement sample. And here the these particular oxides, whatever we have studied now, that is that those chemicals which are interact with one another in the kiln at high temperature to form the more complex compounds. You know the procedure part of the manufacturing process. They have taken the raw materials, they have added the water, and then they have sent that one to the rotary kiln. So in that rotary kiln, it is provided with high temperature. How much? Up to 1300 degrees Celsius to 1500 degrees Celsius. So during that temperature, these all chemicals, whatever they have given, that is lime, silica, alumina, and iron oxides. So they form more complex compounds. So with the presence of that heat, and because of that heat, that chemicals which are present in the raw materials are combined with each other in well manner, and that forms the more complex compounds at the end product. Okay. And here the relative proportions of these oxide compositions are responsible for influencing the various properties of cements, that is in addition to take the cooling and fineness of grinding. So here what they are giving in the sense, these particular chemicals with the proper proportions, so which is going to give certain properties of the cement. For example, cement will be having strength. Okay. So that strength which is depend upon the proper proportions of these chemicals. So you need to identify in the raw materials itself. So whatever you are going to use the raw materials, you need to check which are the chemicals present in that raw material, so and how much percent which is present in that raw material. So depends upon that, various properties of cement will get differs. Okay. And here, and that is not only depends upon the chemicals which are present in that raw materials, in addition to that, rate of cooling and fineness of grinding. So once you take the raw materials of limestone, that process that includes, I mean, that explains what you need to crush that limestones up to a fine powder. Suppose if it is not crushed, if it is not with the proper size, and then at the time of mixing with respect to the other raw materials, which will be very difficult that time, whatever the content you have used as the raw material, which is very difficult to find out the mixing other mixing materials at the storage basin. So you need to crush it thoroughly until it should reaches to the fine grinding. And then after the rotary kiln process, that cement silo which will come I mean, whatever the product which will get burnt in the rotary kiln, which will come out, and then it should be having certain time to get cool, because when it passes from 1300 degrees Celsius to 1500 degrees Celsius, of course, that product which will comes out from the rotary kiln will be too hot, right? So at that time only, you are not supposed to add the other additives like gypsum and all. So that time, whatever the products which will comes out from the rotary kiln, it should get cool for a period of time. Okay, and then you need to add the other additives like gypsums and all by the given proportions like 2 to 3%, right? So in that case, that is also matters with respect to the properties of this cement. And here you can check the chemical compositions of this cement. So these are the main chemicals which are given in this column. These all belongs with oxide materials. So calcium oxide, silicon dioxide, aluminum oxide, ferrous oxide, and then magnesium oxide. Some of the alkalis like potassium oxide and nitrogen oxide, sodium oxide, and then at last SO3 is sulfate. So here these are the main chemicals which will be present in the cement after the manufacturing of the cement process. So as per the standards, how much percent it should be in the cement? Suppose if you take calcium oxide, that is 60 to 67% of calcium oxide should be present in the cement sample. And then similarly, silicon dioxide, that is 17 to 25%, and then Al2O3, that is 3 to 8%. Similarly, ferrous oxide 0.5% to 6%, and then magnesium oxide it is 0.1 to 4%, and then alkalis like 0.4. Very minor proportions and percentages are enough for and some alkalis like potassium oxide and sodium oxide, and then sulfates. Very minor proportions are required in the cement, but that presence of that percentage is must in the cement so that the property of that cement which will get vary with respect to these chemicals. Okay, so you can see the major chemicals which are present in the cement, that is calcium oxide and then silicon oxide or dioxide. Okay, so here you can see whatever the major chemicals are present in the cement, they are going to govern the major properties of the cement. For example, strength, right? So the strength which will comes by adding the proper proportions of calcium oxide and silicon dioxide, and then the setting time, that is by adding gypsum into the proportion. So like that, every chemicals which are present in the cement has their own properties and advantages in the cement sample. Okay, and here you can see as per the Indian standard specifications for 33 grade cement. So before stating this particular sentence like Indian standard specifications for 33 grade cement, so first I will let you know what is Indian standard specification. So here Indian standard specification in the sense certain board committee members will be there. They are going to fix up some standards for each and every materials. So here that Indian standard specification, that is what we can call IS, Indian standards. So this board is situated in Delhi. Okay, so here based upon the several research trials and errors, they are going to fix some values for every materials. Suppose if you want to purchase cement, they are going to give certain standards how exactly that cement should be. If you want to purchase steel, they will suggest you to purchase the steel in a such a manner like so and so value should be having. And then if you want to purchase brick and other materials, so not only these civil engineering materials, it is related with all the materials whatever you are going to purchase. So each and every materials will be having Indian standard specifications. Okay, so here, and moving on to the next part, that is 33 grade cement. So here cement will be having certain grades depends upon the compressive strength of that cement. So here cement is classified in three types, that is 33 grade, 43 grade, and then 53 grade. Okay, this is most asked question, right? And even which will be much helpful for you also. So cement is classified based upon the grades, that is 33, 43, and then 53. Okay, so this 33, 43, 53, that is purely dependent upon the compressive strength of the cement after the specified curing period of 28 days. Okay, so here you can see that IS 269 and 1989. So this is belongs to the code which refers the Indian standard specifications for 33 grade cement. Similarly, for 43 grade cement also it will get vary with these numbers. Okay, and this 1989 is nothing but the year of that particular Indian standard specifications has evolved. Okay, so depends upon this, that is IS 269 and 1989, that specifies the following chemical requirements. Clear? And here the first particulars you can see the ratio of percentage of lime to percentage of silica, alumina, and iron oxides known as lime saturation factor. So when calculated by the formula, that is given formula, so when you have substituted the whatever the percentage which will comes after the particular test on that cement. So here you will get the calcium oxide percentage, and here you will get sulfate percentage, and then here silicon dioxide, and then aluminum oxide and iron oxide. So like that, whatever the percentage you will get after the conduction of the test. So you need to substitute the values of these in this equation. Okay, here 0.7 and 2.8, 1.2, 0.65, these are the constants, nowhere it is going to change. Only the thing is the percentage of these chemicals which will get changes. So once you substituted the values in this equation, that results it should come not greater than 1.02 and not less than 0.66. Okay, so that nothing but what, once you substituted the percentage of chemicals which are present in the cement, it should be greater than 0.66 and it should be less than 0.12. Okay, so then only you can say that this particular cement is permissible for 33 grade cement and it is used for the requirement of the different applications. Got it? So similarly, the second point, that is ratio of percentage of alumina to that of iron oxide, alumina and to that iron oxide, it is not less than 0.66. Okay, means you need to substitute the values here, ratio of percentage of alumina to the Al divided by iron oxide, that is Fe2O3, Al2O3 and Fe2O3. Once you substituted these values, it should come more than 0.66, but the condition says that it is not less than 0.66, means whatever the values it should come, it should be more than 0.66. So then only it states that which comes under in 33 grade cement. Okay, and moving on to the next parameter, that is weight of insoluble residue. So here insoluble residue is nothing but which is a non-cementing material. So non-cementing material in the sense it does not contain any of the these chemicals, but still it will be present at the end of the cement. So basically which is present in the Portland cement, and this particular residue material that affects the property of the cement. So whatever the product which are non-cementitious materials, still it will be present in the cement. So that is going to affect the properties of the cement, like strengthening part might be with the binding property and all. And just to control the non-cementing material in the Portland cement, that ASTM standard that allows the insoluble solution or this residue, it should be not higher than 0.7. 0.75, right? So here, in this case, this weight of insoluble residue, it should be not more than 4%. Okay. So whatever it's that byproducts which are not at all used in the cement, it should not be more than 4%. And then weight of magnesia, that is Mg, and that is not more than 6%, and then only we can say that which is belongs to 33 grade. And then total sulfur content, that is calculated as the sulfuric when anhydride. So anhydride SO3 is nothing but that is a sulfate, what we can call. And then here the calculated as sulfuric when anhydride. So anhydride in the sense without any water content, whatever the percentage will get evaluated during the estimation of total percentage of these chemicals. So without adding any water, it should not be more than 2.5%. Okay. And then total loss on ignition. So total loss on ignition in the sense whatever the ingredients are sent to the rotary kiln, there we are going to provide certain amount of heat. So that time certain chemicals will get evaluated, or it will get evaporated because of heat. So in that case it should not be more than 5%. So then only we can say that 33 grade cement, it should be having these all categories. So once if you want to choose 33 grade cement in your construction, then at that time you need to concentrate on these chemicals. So these chemicals, it should be in this range. So particulars whatever they have given, those particulars, it should matches your results as per the requirement. Okay. And then here the oxides which are present in the raw materials, oxides are nothing but the word O, what you can say, right? These particular oxides which are present in the raw materials when subjected to high clinkering temperature, that combines with each other to form complex compounds. For example, in every compounds you can see this particular word oxygen, that is oxide contents, right? So it's like calcium oxide. Even that calcium oxides will be having this O, and then silicon dioxide also will be having this O, and then Fe2O3, Al2O3, Mg. So these all are oxide contents, right? So this particular proportions of these oxides, whatever it will get reacts with the original compound, same silica, alumina, and ferrous. So it should have certain proportions to mingle with that. So then only we can get the standard chemical proportions at the end of that cement products. And here, because of this oxygen content only, it forms the more complex compounds after getting out from the rotary kiln. Okay. And here the identification of the major compounds is largely based upon R.H. Boak's work. So R.H. Boak, he is a scientist, so he has worked certain research on the cement, and then he have concluded that so and so chemicals are to be present in the cement, so then only it should give standard property, standard strength, and then properties. So only we can call chemicals which are present in the cement are called as Boak's compounds. Okay. So here you can see four different Boak's compounds, usually regarded as major compounds, which are listed in the table. So there are four different Boak's compounds you can see. So they are identified by this RH Boak's. So only we can call these compounds as Boak's compounds. This is most asked question in the exam. Just you can point this. And here you can see four different compounds which are present in the cement. First one is tricalcium silicate, second one is dicalcium silicate, third one is tricalcium aluminate, and fourth one is tetracalcium aluminoferrite. Okay, so these are the four compounds which are, I mean, the chemical compounds which are present in the cement are called Boak's compounds. So now you can see the chemical formula for this. For tricalcium silicate, which is 3CaO SiO2, and then for dicalcium silicate, this is 2CaO and SiO2. As the name only indicates, tricalcium and dicalcium, these numbers will get comes. Okay, for tricalcium it comes as 3, and for dicalcium it comes as 2. And remaining part calcium oxide, I mean this calcium silicate, that is given in the form of calcium CaO SiO2. Okay, and similarly tricalcium aluminate. So tricalcium, so again it starts with 3, and calcium aluminate they have given CaO, and then tricalcium aluminate it is Al2O3. And then tetracalcium aluminoferrite, this is bit lengthier one. So tetra in the sense that is stands for 4. Okay, so tetra in the sense 4 calcium aluminoferrite. Okay, so calcium alumino and then ferrite. Now you can note down in this way. So here abbreviated formula also they have given, so that while explanation with answers directly you can write this abbreviated formula. And just so once you write this C3S, it's nothing but what it is, tricalcium silicate. Once you write, once I said in the explanation part it is C2S. So C2S is nothing but dicalcium silicate, that is 2CaO SiO2. And similarly for C3A it is tricalcium aluminate, and then last one C4AF, that stands for tetracalcium aluminoferrite. Okay, so these are the 4 different box compounds which are present in the cement. So now we'll study which are the main advantages and applications of these compounds in the cements. Why we require these compounds, and what this tricalcium silicate will do, what this dicalcium silicate will do, and what this tricalcium aluminate, and then fourth one tetracalcium aluminoferrite. So what these compounds will do in that cement we'll study now. So here tricalcium silicate, that is C3S, and dicalcium silicate, that is C2S. So these are the most important compounds. They are responsible for the strength. So here whatever the strength you are going to achieve after adding cement to the various applications. So in that cement, the major strength what you will get, that one it will get generate by the C2S, sorry C3S and then C2S. Okay, so together they constitute around 70 to 80% of the cement. So in one particular cement, if you made it as in a percentage wise, 70 to 80% of the cement, that is consisting of this tricalcium silicate and dicalcium silicate. So major part it is occupied by these two compounds, that is tricalcium silicate and dicalcium silicate. So and the major strength also which is achieved by these two chemical compounds. And second one, the average C3S, that is tricalcium silicate content in modern cement is about 45%, and that of C2S is about 25%. So 45 is belongs to this C3S, and then the C2S which is belongs to 25%. So on an average around 17% of cement which is gained by this tricalcium silicate and dicalcium silicate. And then here remaining 30%, that is divided for tricalcium aluminate and tetracalcium aluminoferrite, right? So the sum of the contents of C3A and C4AF has decreased slightly in modern cements. So in earlier time, they are going to provide, I mean, they are going to use this C3S and C2S in a minor content like 50 to 60%. And because to get the larger strength, they have added the larger percentage of these two, that is tricalcium silicate and dicalcium silicate. And when this percentage has been increased, of course the remaining compounds, I mean the remaining proportion of the compounds, it will get decreased. Okay, so in that case they have reduced this tricalcium aluminate and tetracalcium aluminoferrites in current manufacturing process of cement. I will tell you the reason behind this. Okay, and here the calculated quantity of the compound in the cement, that is varies greatly even for a relatively small change in the oxide compositions of the raw material. So as you know that every word sits with oxide contents, calcium oxide, and other compounds like SiO2, Al2O3, and Fe2O3. So every chemical compound sits with O content. So here that particular oxides in the cements, that is varies. I mean, even though a small percentage of oxides varies, which is leads in the greater change in the property part. Okay, and here to manufacture a cement of stipulated compound compositions, it becomes absolutely necessary to closely control the oxide compositions of the raw material. So once you need to use these all raw materials in the manufacturing of the cement process, you need to concentrate more in the content of oxides. So once that oxide content is in the limits, then only you can use that raw materials in the manufacturing of the cement. So once if it exceeds or below the limits, that time that property of the cement is will get changes than the standard one. So as I say that as per the Indian standard code book 269 1983, so they have given certain percentages for certain chemicals. So if the current value which is might be which is not in the limits, means might be which is above the limit or might be which is below the limit, so that time the property of the cement which may get varies with all the aspects such as strength and other binding properties. And here you can see an increase in lime content beyond a certain value that makes it difficult to combine with other compounds, and free lime will exist in the clinker, which causes unsoundness in the cement. So as I said here in the previous slide, in the earlier days they are about to use this one with 50 to 60%. Okay, and now they have increased the content up to 70 to 80% in the modern cement. So might be you can ask a question, sir, you can add this one 90 to 100 so that we can get the larger strength. The main reason behind adding above the limit part, it leads in the given cases, it's like the increase in the lime content beyond the certain values. Might be you have exceeded the content of this lime, that is calcium oxide. Okay, so what it indicates here, you can see in this table that calcium oxide whatever it is there, it is with 60 to 67%. Okay, once if it crosses more than 67%, I mean which is beyond the limits, so that time what it happens, it makes very difficult to combine with other compounds. Once you that percentage of this calcium oxide increase more than the 67%, which is very difficult to mingle with all these other chemicals. So that time what it happens, that clinker whatever is there. Okay, so through this clinker whatever the product will get generate, so in that that excess of oxides, I mean this calcium oxide also, I mean excess calcium oxide is nothing but lime. Okay, this excess of lime which will come out without joining these remaining chemicals. Okay, so if you have added extra, so it will comes out in the form of precipitation at the end of rotary kiln. Okay, that is the main disadvantage adding extra content of this lime. So lime is nothing but this calcium oxide. Okay, and which causes unsoundness in the cement. So here an increase in silica content at the expense of the content of the alumina and ferric oxide, that will make the cement difficult to fuse from the clinker. So they require standard proportions of the chemicals in the cement. So in that silica content is increased beyond the limit, so that is leads in the content of alumina and ferric oxide, that will make the cement that is difficult to fuse in the sense to combine or to mix with other products. Okay, so and which is very difficult to form the clinker is nothing but the product which will come out from the rotary kiln. Okay, so to form that proper clinker, if you have exceeded the silica content, means that clinker will come out the various aspects which is not suitable for the construction process, as which is not the proper cement. Okay, so you need to add the given proportions or given percentage of the chemicals in the manufacturing of the cement, then only you will get the proper clinker at the end of the rotary kiln. And then here cement with the high total alumina and high ferric oxide, that is that ferric oxide content that is favorable to the production of high early strength in cement. So basically once you added water to the cement, so that cement consisting of all the chemicals including this total alumina and then ferric oxide, that is Al2O3 and Fe2O3. So here these particular two chemicals which will be more favorable in the production of high early strengths in the cement. So cement is about to get the strength once it is added with water and it's completed its applications, and then it should be with proper curing. So then only it is going to give the proper strength. Okay. So here to get the proper strength, I mean high early strength, this total content of alumina and ferric oxide will takes an important role. So early strength in the sense within a shorter period of time, whatever the cement will get strength. So that is by using this alumina and ferric oxide. Okay, and this is perhaps due to the influence of these oxides for the complete combining of the entire quantity of lime that to present to form the tricalcium silicate, that is C3S. So it's nothing but what the proper content of the oxides, it should be a major role in the all the components so that it gives the proper percentage at the end of the cement productions. For everyone it's audible, right? Can someone please?
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you. So here you can see the different equations which are suggested by RH Bogue for calculating the percentages of major compounds which are given below. So you need to check how much percentage of this tricalcium silicate is there, how much percentage of this dicalcium silicate is there, and how much percentage of this tricalcium aluminate is there. And similarly for fourth compound, how much percent is there, that is tetracalcium aluminoferrite. So for that certain formulas he have been discovered, and once you substituted the values you will come to know the total percentage of these compounds in the cement. So that formula they have given, that is 4.07 times of calcium oxide minus 7.6 times of silicate, that is silicon dioxide, and then minus 6.72 times of Al2O3 and 1.43 times of Fe2O3 minus 2.85 times of sulfate, that is SO3. So once you substituted all the percentages in this equation, that is calcium oxides, SiO2s, Al2O3s, and then Fe2O3, SO3. So you will come to know the total percentages of this tricalcium silicate in the cement. Okay, so it will comes in terms of percentage. Similarly for C2S also, we have been evaluated a formula, that is 2.87 of SiO2 and then minus 0.754 of tricalcium silicate, that is 3CaO and SiO2. Just you need to substitute the percentage of these contents here, and then it will comes in terms of percentage. Okay, and similarly for C3 and C4AF also they have given, that is 2.6 times of Al2O3 minus 1.69 times of Fe2O3. And for C4AF, it is 3.04 times of Fe2O3. Okay, direct ferrous content it will comes. So then you can check how much percentage of this tricalcium silicate will be having, and how much percentage of the C2S and then C3 and C4AF. That time which will be very helpful in the deciding of that properties of the cement. Okay, and here you can see how exactly that table will get forms. These all things are the chemicals which are presented in the cement. Okay, so including these oxides also. Here you can see the calcium oxide which is with 63%, and then SiO2 20%, Al2O3 6%, Fe2O3 3%, magnesium oxide 1, SO2 2, and then K2O and Na2O it's 1%. Once you substituted these all formulas, you will get to know the percentage of tricalcium silicate, percentage of dicalcium silicate, and then percentage of tricalcium aluminoferrite, and then percentage of tetracalcium aluminoferrite. So it will comes in this way. C3S it is 54.1%, and then C2S it is 16.6, and then C3 it is 10.8, then C4AF it is 9.1. So like that, this percentage will comes once you substituted these values in this formula. Got it? And here both Lee Chatelier and Dornbaum observed that four different kinds of crystals in thin sections of cement clinkers. So here you can see these two are the scientists. One is Lee Chatelier and second one is Dornbaum. Okay, so these people they have done the investigation on the end product of the clinker. I mean, whatever the product which will comes out from the rotary kiln. So they have considered that there are different kinds of crystals which are formed in the thin sections of cement clinkers. So they have given separate name for that. So after the product which will get generated from the rotary kiln, so those products which are in four different kinds of crystals, for that Tornbaum called these four kinds of crystals as alite, balite, here alite, balite, salite, and then phalite. Okay, so he have given these names for those four compounds. Okay, so here the box compounds like the C3S, C2S, and C3A, and then C4AF are sometimes called in literature like alite, balite, salite, and then phalite. Okay, so it's nothing but what? So in this table, this is stands for alite, and then this is balite, third one is salite, and then fourth one is phalite. Okay, so in sometimes these chemical compounds are named as those four names like alite, balite, and all. So that is because of Turnbaum considered those four elements as per his knowledge. Instead of calling tricalcium silicate, he called alite, balite, salite, and phalite. So there is no wrong in that. Only the thing is you need to understand the concept behind this. Okay, but these are also called as box compounds only, like alite, balite, salite, and phalite. Only the thing is they have changed their name depends upon their research work. Okay, and here you can see the cement and hydration of Portland cement that can be schematically represented as below. So you, as you all know that the raw materials used in the manufacturing process of cement, they are argillaceous and calcareous materials. So here the raw materials of the cement that consisting of limestone, that is calcareous materials, and clay which is argillaceous material. So here the components elements in raw materials. So which are the chemical components will be there in the raw materials, that is with Si, calcium, and then Al, and then Fe. So along with this, this oxide content also will be there. So once it reacts with these all materials reacts with this oxides, and it forms the following compounds, that is oxide compositions in raw materials, that is CaO, SiO2, Al2O3, and then Fe2O3. So once these four chemicals reacts with the oxide contents, it forms the following components like calcium oxide, silicate, aluminate, and then ferrous oxide. Okay, so once we start burn these four chemicals, it forms what? Clinker. So burning process which is done in where? Rotary kiln. Okay, so there you have provided around 1300 degrees Celsius to 1500 degrees Celsius of heat. So once you provided heat, these four chemicals which formed clinkers at the end of the rotary kiln. Okay, so on burning it forms with rotary kiln. So here the compound compositions, it is divided in four parts. I mean in four crystals. One is tricalcium silicate, dicalcium silicate, tricalcium aluminate, tetracalcium aluminoferrite. Okay, and here these four compounds have been formed, and now these four compounds are placed in grinding so that it is going to give the homogeneous mix, and then it forms various aspects. By adding gypsum and all, it forms with the Portland cement. By adding with the other additives, it may forms with the lime cement. Again, by adding some extra lime content, it may forms with lime cement. By adding color, it may forms the white cement. So like that, depends upon the various applications that cement will get generate after cooling process of the rotary kilns products. Okay, and now the hydration process. So hydration is nothing but when any materials reacts with water. Okay, so that process is a hydration process. So in cement hydration process, once that cement which added with the water, that hydration process will get starts. Okay, so here after the hydration process it forms CSH gel. Okay, plus calcium hydroxide will get liberate. Okay, so CSH gel is a name that's that is starts with particular one. When the water is added with the cement, it forms a proper gel along with that calcium hydroxide. Okay, and then hydration of cement. So hydration of cement, I think for today it's enough. We'll continue with the next class. Can somebody please, can I continue or
So we'll
another
continue it
five
in the
minutes?
next class.
Yes, that's fine. Okay, so today we have discussed about the box compounds and chemical compositions which are present in the cement. If you are having any doubts, you can just raise hand here only. Else, you can just place your name and USN in the chat box without fail. Then you can disconnect. If you're having any questions, that one also you can place in the chat box so that will clarify that. Shivani, just place your name and USN and then you can disconnect the call. Even Suraj. Else I'm going to disconnect this call.